Welcome to Step Into Me. This podcast is all about embracing your passions, finding inner peace, letting go of what no longer serves you, and most of all, living in alignment with your true self. I'm Belinda Lee. I'm a journalist and broadcaster with a key interest in personal development. And today, we are talking all about dreams. We all have them, and often we dismiss them. But should we be paying attention to our dreams? Can they tell us anything about ourselves? Today, we're catching up with dream expert Ian Wallace.
So when you dream, you are getting this direct access to your higher, more aware self to understand what you really want to achieve in life and how you're going to do it.
Well, it's my great pleasure to welcome Ian Wallace to the show. Ian is a best-selling author. His books include The Top 100 Dreams, Be Your Own Dream Expert, and Decode Your Dreams, and I'll put links to those in the show notes. Ian is not only widely acclaimed for his knowledge of dreams, but also his incredible dream analysis abilities. Ian Wallace, welcome to Step Into Me.
Hey, Belinda, thanks very much for inviting me on.
Ian, you're a psychologist. You've written numerous books about dreams. So first question, what made you specialise in dreams?
I've just always been fascinated by dreams, Belinda, ever since I was a tiny child. And in fact, my first memory is really a dream. So I remember waking up from it was kind of like it was a really powerful emotional dream about a big steam train. And I guess I'd seen steam trains because they were still using them at a local colliery to shunt coal around. And anyway, so I woke up from this dream and I was really upset by it, and I was crying and bawling. And my father came through to see what all the commotion was. And as he settled me, I was saying to him, what happened? What happened? Where did the train go? What's happening? And he said, oh, it was just a dream. And I was typically at that age was going, so what's a dream? Why do we dream? And he said, oh, I'll show you in the morning. And I just thought he was fobbing me off, as adults sometimes do. But then the next day, he took me down on his route to work, down to the colliery, which went over this bridge where the old steam trains went up and down. And he held my hand as we stood on this bridge. He said, just stand here for a minute and I'll show you what a dream is. And in the distance, we could see this plume of smoke approaching, and it got closer and closer and louder and louder. And suddenly it passed underneath us, and we were enveloped in steam and smoke and sparks. And then it just chuffed away into the distance. And as it did that, he turned around and said, that's what a dream is. And that really visceral emotional experience has always stayed with me, and I've just been fascinated by dreams ever since.
Is there meaning behind dreaming of a steam train? Have you analysed that one?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So there's so people will think that dreams may be meaningless or they're weird or bizarre, but everything that happens in a dream, you create it. The dream doesn't happen to you. You happen to the dream, and you create everything that you experience in it. So anytime that we dream of a vehicle, it's about the path that we are taking through life, or the path that we hope to follow. And if you dream of a train, then you are following quite a set path. So people who are changing career or considering changing career often find themselves dreaming about stations or trying to get on a train or disembark from a train. And anything to do with steam. Steam is all about water vapor and air. Water symbolizes our emotions and feelings, and air our thoughts and ideas. So steam often represents that intuitive feeling of where you might be going. So when you dream of a steam train, it's this big, powerful opportunity approaching to maybe intuitively change your career track in some way.
So why do we have them? Why do we have dreams?
So there are a number of schools of thought about dreams, Belinda, and a lot of people still subscribe to that kind of psychic one, that there's some messages from the ether, or scientists say they're just kind of random brain electrical signals in your head. But the fundamental reason why we dream, it's a sense-making process to continually update our sense of self so we can understand who we are, what we really need, and what we believe. And it becomes the ultimate self-portrait. So what a dream really is the ultimate selfie.
And how do you interpret a dream? Is that something that you've developed your own method for interpreting dreams?
Yeah, so I developed a process called the dream connection process that I've written and broadcast quite a lot about. And the way to work with a dream is just to realize that you're creating all these images, and these images have meaning. And one of the main functions of dreaming is to process your emotions, so all the things that you experience during the day. So all these images that you create in a dream, it's not just a stream of imagery, it's also a flow of emotions. So what I look for when someone shares a dream with me, I'm effectively interpreting the images that they share into emotions. and then feeding them back to people. There are lots and lots of old wives' tales of dreams. So they have things like, if you dream of a wheelbarrow, then a week next Thursday, someone will steal your purse at the market fair.
Right.
And obviously, that's not going to be really useful. But the language of imagery is something that's fundamental to all humans. And it doesn't matter what culture, creed, or country you come from. We all tend to have similar behavior patterns. So we all tend to dream in the same patterns. So what I'm looking for when someone shares a dream, I'm just listening out for images, I'm listening out for emotions. And because I've been doing this for over 30 years now, and I've worked with over 300,000 dreams, I get a kind of feeling for what's coming out in the dream. And then the most important thing is to feed that meaning back to the dreamer in the form of questions. So they might say that they've dreamt of a ladder, and they may be having some challenges at work. So I might ask something like, what steps might you take to progress to a higher level in your career? So we can really take that meaning from the dream, something that seems a bit weird and bizarre and a bit nonsensical, and actually turn it into a really powerful question that will lead to powerful actions in waking life.
If it's turning imagery into emotion, does that explain why children have a lot of nightmares? Is that them not quite understanding what they're processing?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So it's really interesting in how the dreaming process develops from childhood to adulthood. So as an adult, we tend to dream for about 2 hours per night. So we spend a 12th of our life dreaming. But a newborn baby spends nearly all its sleep time dreaming. And because dreaming is that sense-making process, that's why babies are often so wide-eyed. They can't understand what's happening. So they're taking in lots and lots of information and then processing it in their brain. And one of the things that happens as a child grows is it becomes socialized. It learns to control its impulses and try and fit in with a social group around it. And that can be a very emotional experience. So that's why children have really vivid dreams. So a baby maybe dreams all the time, and an adult dreams for about 2 hours per night. And a young child will probably dream for about 4 hours per night because they're just making sense of all these things they're experiencing.
It's interesting, isn't it, that we call it a dream when it's what you'd call a normal dream, but when it is bad or frightening, we call it a nightmare. Is there any difference between those two things, or are they just the same and it's a different emotional response?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point, Belinda. So people always say, right, I've got all these dreams, but then I've got all these nightmares. And I think, well, they're just the same thing. All a nightmare is a dream where the emotions are turned up a bit, and it's a bit more vivid, and it's a bit scary, and maybe a bit out of control. So there's no real separation. It's just a continuum, dreams and nightmares. And one of the really interesting things about nightmares is that they are often recurring. So you'll have the same nightmare again and again. You're being chased, or you haven't prepared for an exam, or all your teeth are falling out. And those dreams become more and more vivid and more nightmarish. And what you're actually trying to do when you dream, you are sending yourself a message. You're trying to communicate information to yourself about your emotions. And if you don't pay attention to that in waking life, what you do at night is you turn up the volume a bit, and you turn up the colour, and you turn up the scariness to really get your attention so you can take action in waking life. And as soon as you do that, the nightmares and the recurrence will fade away.
You mentioned teeth falling out, and that's certainly a dream I've had back in my 20s. I had a recurring dream of my teeth falling out. In fact, I'd wake up sometimes feeling like I had a mouthful of teeth, that they'd all come out. So what are some of the other common ones? Because that is quite a common one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the second most common dream from around the world is teeth falling out.
Right.
So we do the top 5, Belinda.
Oh, if you like, yes, I'm curious.
Yeah. So number 5 is unprepared for an exam. So even though you may have left school, college, university years and years ago, people still have this one very frequently. And again, you asked earlier on how to work with dreams. So rather than just saying something like, oh, it's an anxiety dream that you're worried about your academic achievements, how it works from a meaningful point of view is exams are how we judge our ability to perform and how other people judge that. So if you dream that you're unprepared for an exam, you're critically examining your own performance in waking life. And it just ends up in lots of self-examination and criticism. But the real test of your character is being able to accept your talents by celebrating your knowledge and achievements instead of constantly judging yourself. So that's what to do when you have that unprepared for the exam dream.
Right. Number 4.
Number 4 is naked in public.
Oh,
And
yes.
again, just we we work with the meaning of the images. So what do your clothes mean? The clothes are how you present a particular image to the people around you, how you want to show up to people. So being naked in public suggests that there's a situation in waking life that's making you feel a bit vulnerable. People can see the real you and you feel a bit exposed. And the reality is that although it might be embarrassing sometimes that you need to open up in a situation, the only way that people can see the real you and get connected with you and become intimate with you and understand who you really are is you have to open up to them. So it's a very common dream if you're going into, say, a new relationship or a new job where you've maybe presented one image, but the real you's a little bit different and you're a bit worried about how people will receive that.
Okay. Number 3.
Number 3 is a really interesting one. So very often if I'm out at some social gathering or I'll get someone sidling up to me and saying, I've got this dream, but I don't want to tell you about it. It's really embarrassing. I'm sure no one else has it. And I'll say, is it the toilet dream? And they go, oh, how did you know that? Are you psychic? And I go, no, I'm not psychic. But it's the third most common dream. So again, working with what things mean. So a toilet is what we use to cleanly respond to some of our most fundamental needs. And it goes back to childhood when we're toilet training, that we can end up feeling very, very ashamed if we mess up with something. So if we have this toilet dream in adult life, there's an issue in waking life where we're finding it a challenge to express our needs because we have that phrase, needing a toilet. So the toilet dream is all about your needs. Often occurs when you are looking after the needs of other people rather than attending to some of your own needs, and you feel guilty about doing that.
Do you know, I've always thought that was simply needing to go to the toilet during the night and not wanting to get out of bed. So you're sort of just dreaming that you're doing it instead. So that's really interesting. Ian, what's number 2?
So number 2 is teeth falling out.
Right.
So there are lots of old wives' tales about this. It can be, so people say, it's about money, or it's about sex, or it's about getting old, or in some cultures it's about an aging relative might become poorly. But the reality is what teeth symbolize are power and confidence. So you tend to show your teeth on 2 main occasions in waking life. One is when you're happy and confident, so you're smiling. And the other one is when you are being quite assertive. You may be snarling a little bit. And so you're showing your power and confidence there. So if you dream your teeth are falling out, the classic dream is your teeth are crumbling. And that suggests that in your waking life, your confidence is crumbling in some way. And again, just working with the dream imagery and language, the best way to get rid of the teeth dream is in waking life, just calmly chew over the facts and relish whatever is causing you anxiety as a challenge that you can really get your teeth into.
That's good advice. And number 1, big drum roll.
Number 1, and as far as we know, it's been number 1 for over 30,000 years.
Goodness.
Based on ancient cave paintings in Altamira and Chauvet Pont d'Arc in the Ardèche. This one is being chased.
Is that right?
And people again say, it's an anxiety dream. But the reality is that when you work with dreams and work with linguistic imagery and all the imagery around it, all these images are kind of based on our language. So we have this word in our language, pursuit. And a pursuit is being chased or chasing something, or it's something that you really, really want to do in your waking life. So if you dream of being pursued, there's some issue in your waking life where you are pursuing a big opportunity, but you're encountering obstacles and frustrations around it, usually around the personal ambition. So the best way to resolve that dream is to understand what you're really trying to achieve and then just start dismantling all the obstacles around it so you can get through to it and pursue that ambition to a successful conclusion.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the word dream, I guess, has 2 meanings. There's the obvious dreams that we have at night, but we also have our hopes and dreams. And just, listening to what you're saying there, it sounds like they're tied in, aren't they? Would that be right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so this word dream has these 2 meanings, these amazing phenomena that we all create every night, but also our hopes and aspirations. And the reality is that when we dream, the parts of the brain that are involved in dreaming are about emotional fulfillment, storytelling, and understanding need. So when you create a dream, what you're doing is creating a story of how to fulfill your needs particularly at an emotional level, to use your emotions, the power of your emotions to do that. And these all happen in your unconscious self. So 98% of human awareness happens at an unconscious level. And the main language that we have of the unconscious is dreaming. So when you dream, you are getting this direct access to your higher, more aware self to understand what you really want to achieve in life and how you're going to do it. So they can give you lots and lots of information on how to achieve your actual dreams in waking life.
So that would probably explain why a lot of people dream about the workplace, because that's such a big part of everyone's day.
And again, we just go back to what the workplace means. So the workplace is not so much the literal workplace, but what the workplace is about is your sense of purpose, how you create value, how you're perceived to be a valuable person in waking life. So that's what we all want to do in life. We want to find our meaning, we want to realize our purpose, and we want to unleash our potential. So dreams of the workplace are all about understanding how you can really realize your purpose, find that purpose, focus on it, and then start to fulfill it.
To that end, can we actually control our dreams?
Yes, we can. Well, we can't control them absolutely, but we can make choices in them. So there's a wonderful process that everyone can learn. In fact, we all do it naturally twice a night, and it's called lucid dreaming. So in a lucid dreaming, you become aware that you're dreaming. And because that you're aware that you're dreaming, it moves from being something that seems quite passive, where you're active in the dream. So you can choose to fly away someplace. You can be flying through the air, or you can go to a tropical beach, or you can go anywhere you want in the dream and do anything you want just by making those choices. You can't completely control the dream, because if you try and do that, then unexpected things will happen. But you can make choices in the dream. And it's got a fantastic reflection in waking life, because the more and more time that you spend lucid dreaming, the more that you realize in waking life that you have the power to make choices in waking life as well. So it gives you far more agency in waking life and far more options about what you'd like to do.
So we should definitely be paying more attention to our dreams, I take it.
Yes, a lot of people dismiss them. We tend to lose dream imagery very quickly when we wake up. Within about 5 minutes, about 50% is gone, and within 10 minutes, it's pretty well all gone. But when you wake up, whenever that is, in the middle of the night or in the morning, there are 3 simple words that if you remember those 3 simple words, then they will help you remember your dreams. And those 3 simple words are will, still, and fill. So when you go to bed tonight, as you lay your head on your pillow, you set the intention and you say, tonight I will remember a dream or part of a dream. And then when you wake up, whenever that is, you lie completely still. You don't chat to anyone, you don't look at the clock, you don't even wiggle your toes. As soon as you start to move physically, dream imagery starts to fade away. So you lie completely still, and as you do so, you'll get dream images coming back. You'll get all these images popping back into your mind. And then all you have to do is fill in the gaps between those images, and you'll get a dream narrative emerging. So will, still, and fill.
That's good homework. I will remember, stay still when you wake up, and then fill the gaps. I love it.
Yeah.
One final question, Ian. You're a dream interpreter.
Yes.
Do you dream about dreaming? Do you dream about other people dreaming? If that's your job, what sort of dreams do you have?
Yeah, so I have lots of dreams. So I dream probably a bit more than 2 hours every night, and quite often it becomes lucid. So last night I was dreaming I was down beside the ocean with an old friend, and we were trying to catch a fish. And not to eat it or anything, but we just wanted a closer look at it. And that's about just trying to surface some ideas that I'm working with on a colleague, not the friend in the dream, but with another colleague on a project we've been working on. But I quite often have this dream, because I interpret dreams and analyze them, that I'll be interpreting a dream for a client. And then as the dream client is relating their dream to me, I'll be thinking, oh, that's a very interesting dream. And I'll somehow find myself in it.
Right.
And then before I know it, I'm 3 or 4 dream levels down in other people's dreams. So it ends up a bit like Inception. And then I eventually get to say, like, hang on, whose dream is this anyway? And work my way back up. But I quite often dream about analysing other people's dreams. And that's quite fascinating.
I was going to say, there's a movie in that. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Ian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Belinda.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. I'd love to hear your story, so Please send your questions or comments to info@stepintome.com. I'm Belinda Lee. I'll catch you next time for another edition of Step Into Me, helping you live a lighter, more fun-filled and authentic life, one step at a time.